Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Manjiri Nadkarni, Ayurvedic MD, registered holistic nutritionist, back today. Today, another interesting topic. We are going to discuss about the 5 lifestyle mistakes that are creating thyroid malfunction. So, one of the things I see very commonly in my practice is that people talk about diet, people talk about supplementation, right? And a lot of the times when I see clients, who are struggling with hypothyroid symptoms, or they have been diagnosed with Hashimoto's, they are on medications, they're not feeling the best. Some common factors I see that they are trying to do everything according to modern nutrition, or they are trying to do everything that they can do according to, getting the supplements, depending on whatever information is available to them. But one big challenge that I find is nobody follows the lifestyle, right? So, from an Ayurvedic perspective, there are so many other factors you have to take into acknowledgement that okay, my thyroid function is not optimal, and there are other factors playing into it, like your diet, your stress levels, your lifestyle factors as well. So we're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about exercising. We're going to talk about drinking water and why it is essential to have a low inflammatory lifestyle, especially for thyroid. So, the first thing I would like to talk about is, can tap water affect your thyroid? So, this is one of the questions that has been asked to me more commonly, right? And a lot of my clients are, they either drink tap water or they're drinking bottled water, or that could be one of the factors. If you're trying to do everything but you haven't changed your water, right, chances are that your thyroid inflammation is not reduced because of the water that you're drinking. So what is so wrong with tap water? One of the things is that fluoride. When we talk about fluorine, or this is a group of, this is an element which is similar to iodine, right? And in the last video we saw that it can easily displace it. And in Canada, across the US, everywhere, you'll see that water has been fluoridated. There is fluoride in the water for dental health, right? So in the past it was believed that okay, for your dentition, fluoride toothpaste, or fluoride is extremely essential. That's why it's a part of your toothpaste as well. But water has a lot of fluoride as well, and this can easily displace your iodine and create hypothyroidism in somebody who has a lot of autoimmunity already happening in the body. And when we talk about autoimmune conditions, the pathology takes place for a lot of years before it comes to the surface, right? So from an Ayurvedic perspective, disease is not occurring right at the moment it's diagnosed. The pathology occurs, it goes through several steps, and you see certain symptoms before the pathology is actually manifesting completely. And that is when it's easier to take care of, that is when it's easier to kind of reverse, right? So that is why following a lifestyle, following a diet, drinking water is extremely important. And there are very interesting things, and I was looking at lots of researches today. And there was also an interesting study done in Canada that the water itself has heavy metals, right? So in March 2019, there was Health Canada setting new guidelines for lead in drinking water. Ideally, there should be no lead or any heavy metals in your drinking water. And if you are drinking tap water, there are chances that because of the lead pipes, you're getting a lot of these heavy metals in your water. And these heavy metals are going to further impact your thyroid gland, right? And not just lead, but there are 10 other heavy metals. We can talk about mercury, we can talk about cadmium. Cadmium is a big disruptor, right? And often all the heavy metals, whether they come through pesticides or whether they come through any other ways, paints for example, they are going to eventually go into the water, and you are consuming that water as well. And this is why your thyroid is not healing. So if you're trying to do everything in your power and you think that oh, it's this is working well, but it's not working well because there could be a lot of lead in your water as well, right? And There was in 2019, there was a nationwide investigation done like in Canada, which found that there was lead in the water as well, right? And then after treatment, I think Toronto did some of the treatments, but still there was, I think, 13.1%, lead in the water. So this is why you have to be extremely careful, right? I'm going to say a quick hi to Bijal is here, Vibrant Ayurveda is here, Dr. Rakesh Singh is here, Nazarish is here as well. So today we are talking about drinking water, we are talking about thyroid, we are talking about thyroid friendly lifestyle. And the one thing I wanted to start was with your water. So one of the simple things is always to get filtered water. There are a lot of countertop water filters that can remove the heavy metals, that can also remove the fluoride from your water. Another option is, I know a lot of people opt for reverse osmosis, right? So when you are doing reverse osmosis, you're essentially taking all the minerals, everything, you're stripping the water of everything. And that, what we believe from an holistic perspective, is dead water. So you have to remineralize it, right? So either get a countertop filter, which is really good. I personally use the Santevia countertop filter, and I can share the link um, right here, and it works really really well. Even it's a gravity system water, and it also remineralizes your water as well, without being like any health hazard for you. But this will take a lot of your heavy metals out. This is going to take a lot of fluoride and all there. Okay, so I think Nazarish is a BMS doctor. So yeah, so if you have any questions, please let me know. We will be taking questions at the end of this talk, right? And especially when we talk about heavy metals, right? So if you are having any autoimmune condition, whether we talk about Graves' disease, whether we talk about Hashimoto's thyroiditis, it is extremely important to be aware of the water as well, because water is something you are not going to be able to control too much. So getting it filtered is the one main thing, right? So that's the one thing I would suggest. Again, there is a huge debate when it comes to lifestyle, that is organic overrated, right? Are organic foods overrated? Are organic foods just expensive? There are studies done that show that, okay, there is not much difference in eating organic or not organic, which is a big myth. Organic foods are definitely, anything that's grown without a pesticide is not giving you those additional chemicals in your body. A lot of these pesticides act as endocrine disruptors, right? So your thyroid is also a part of your endocrine system. And anytime you are ingesting too many pesticides, right, you are going to create a lot of disruptions in the body. There are going to be a lot of misfirings in the body. And a lot of these chemicals, especially pesticides, even BPA in your drinking water, and I talk about this often. So these are going to act like your hormones, right? And they are going to disrupt your hormones. Now, when we look at, from a hormonal perspective, all hormones are kind of linked in with each other. They are not going to act on a solitary basis. And that is why having organic foods is a good lifestyle choice, right? So, again, I always encourage people to go for grow their own food if they can. If you can't grow your own food, at least buy foods that are organic, that are going to stop you from having this excess um, pesticides or excess chemicals in your body that you don't require, right? So one of the best resources is the Dirty Dozen. So these are things you should always buy organic. If you don't want to spend a lot of money on organic foods, right, at least look at certain foods like the Dirty Dozen, which are always to be bought organic. And Environmental Wellness Group will always release, like every year they'll release a guide, shopper's guide to pesticides in produce, and it's known as Dirty Dozen. So these are the dozen foods that you always should buy organic. Number 1 is strawberries, number 2 is spinach, number 3 is kale, collard, mustard greens, nectarines, apples, grapes, cherries, peaches, pears, pepper, celery, tomatoes. So these are all foods that could have a lot of pesticides on them. And when we talk about a lifestyle that is low inflammatory, especially to support your thyroid gland, it is important to eliminate any excess chemicals in your body, whether we are doing it in the form of excess, water, you have a lot of these chemicals in the water, or whether you're doing it from your diet. And the third thing is through your body products as well, right? So always ensure that you are leading a lifestyle, right, which will be friendly to your thyroid gland, and which will really support and lower the inflammation of your thyroid gland, right? Any questions so far? Okay. The second point I wanted to make was in regards to exercise. So, exercising is extremely important for not just your physical health, your mental health, and your overall body function, right? Whenever you're exercising, your body can detoxify extremely well because your lymphatics are moving, which are not going to move otherwise. Now, your body always detoxifies naturally. So, people who go on certain detoxes, by drinking green juice or doing one thing or the other, your body is always detoxifying as long as you support its detoxification channels without overloading it. That's fantastic. So, one thing when we talk about your body, this detoxification is to not interfere with it. And some of the things I'm mentioning today are things to be avoided. So for example, excess of water, excess of heavy metals, again they're going to impact your thyroid, they're also going to impact your kidneys. And when we talk about pesticides, if your body cannot detoxify certain things, they are going to trap these toxic chemicals, especially in the fat globules, right? And that is why when we look at thyroid issues, obesity, especially hypothyroidism, right, there are a lot of toxins when there is increased weight gain as well. So your metabolism 100% is going to naturally reduce because of hypothyroidism. But when you have this excess fat, chances are because of the poor diet and lifestyle, you also have excess toxins trapped in your body's fat, which is something to consider. So, the number one thing that everybody opts for again is exercising, right? So, from a thyroid perspective, right, if you go for a regular exercise, definitely it is going to help you. Now if you are someone who is really struggling with other issues like adrenal imbalances, if you are someone in the burnout, which is extremely common when it comes to hypothyroidism, if you try exercising beyond your capacity, right, if you try join a boot camp, or if you go to the gym and pump for 2 hours, it is not going to help you. So from an ayurvedic perspective, when we talk about exercise, exercise should be a part of your daily routine, at least 30 minutes a day. You can go for a walk, you can do your yoga, you can do any kind of exercise that you really like or you really enjoy. And a good amount of exercise is when your forehead starts sweating. So that is another perspective from an ayurvedic perspective, is that over exercising is going to create issues with you, right, in your body, which can lead to burnout, which can lead to exhaustion as well. From an ayurvedic perspective, when we look at your thyroid gland, it is, there are a lot of symptoms related to prana vayu as well as udan vayu, right? And if you are aggravating your vata dosh because you're exercising too much, anything done in excess, any overactivity especially, is going to create issues with this vata dosh in your entire body, and lead to further depletions, lead to further depletion of energy, right, and create a lot more fatigue. So it is extremely important to be mindful of exercise. Some exercises you can definitely do are, you can do a little bit of weight training. Now when it comes to Hashimoto's disease or thyroid conditions, you can also see that your body starts losing muscle pretty fast, right? So if you are somebody who is going through hypothyroidism, you will notice that you have lost muscle mass as well, and your weight keeps increasing, right? When we talk about Graves' disease, you're losing your entire body weight, you're losing muscle mass, you're losing body fat. So you rapidly start losing weight when it comes to Graves' disease. But often when we talk about Hashimoto's, often when we talk about hypothyroid conditions, right? You are gaining weight, but you're gaining excess fat. You're not really gaining any muscle mass, right? Because your body is not in this anabolic state. It's just building up this excess fat. It's not building up muscle. It's not building up a lot of strength for your body. And that is when moderate amounts of strength training, or mild to moderate amounts of strength training, can be extremely important. When we talk about strength training, when we talk about lifting weights as a part of a thyroid supportive lifestyle, you don't have to lift too heavy. You can always use your body weight, right? When we talk about weight training, simple exercising like squats, simple exercise like push ups done on the wall or push ups done on the ground are going to use your body's muscles, right? And if you don't use these muscles, you're going to lose it. So, adding some form of exercise, whether it's walking, right? And for someone that is struggling with extreme fatigue, right, and which is also very common in hypothyroid conditions or thyroid issues overall, if you are struggling with excess fatigue, maybe a 10-minute walk, maybe a 5-minute walk, right? So do it as per your body's capacity, but some kind of movement, ideally a whole body movement, is definitely going to support your health. It is going to help move the lymphatics, it's going to help detoxify, it's going to help circulate this prana around your body, right? And it's going to gently increase the metabolism as well. So that is also extremely important from an exercise perspective, from an Ayurvedic perspective, and from a thyroid perspective, right? So now when we talk about other um, the third factor is sleep, right? We've talked about your water, we've talked about exercise. The third factor, which is very, very, very important when it comes to thyroid conditions and overall health, is your sleep. Your sleep is the time where your body recuperates. And I often come across people who are night owls, so they'll be like, oh, I've never slept early in my entire life, and 1 a.m. is when I go to sleep, right? So, if you are staying up late at night, that is going to create a lot of issues in your body, because when you go to sleep, your body starts detoxifying. The channels of detoxification start working efficiently because you are not actively consuming the body's energy, right? When you're watching TV, your brain is kind of trying to absorb information, and it's also using that energy, it's using up that glucose, right? So when you are sleeping, a lot of the activities in your body slow down, and your body can then start the repair work. Again, from an Ayurvedic perspective, when we talk about Ratri Jagaran, which is nighttime, staying up late at night, it is going to wreak a havoc on your vat as well as pitta dosh, right? So when we look from an autoimmune perspective, there is always going to be an involvement of pitta along with this vata dosh because of the receptor communication issues as well as a lot of inflammation. And if you are someone who's not sleeping well, if you are someone who's having trouble sleeping, that could be one reason as well. If you're somebody who has a lifestyle which is a night owl lifestyle, this is the third factor that is going to create issues with your thyroid, and this is something that's ignored all the time, right? So whether you need 6 hours, 8 hours, 7 hours, it has to be that nighttime sleep. Our body follows circadian rhythm. Sleeping up till 11 o'clock in the morning is not going to support your body, right? So from a thyroid perspective, today we're talking about drinking water. We talked a little bit about pesticides to make sure all the chemicals are out. We talked about exercise as well, and now we're talking about the fourth factor, which is sleep. The fifth factor, again, is going to be a lot of cosmetics or products you put on your body, right? So, a lot of the times, when it comes to makeup, I am somebody who loves makeup. I'm trying to be very mindful of what I purchase. And if you look at especially lipsticks, something that is bright and red often has lead in it, right? Often a lot of the serums that you'll put on your face, or any of the anti-aging creams you would use, or even basic moisturizers that you use, are going to have certain chemicals which could be endocrine disruptors, right? So the fifth factor when it comes to creating a thyroid friendly lifestyle and avoid a big mistake, is to make sure that all the products that you put on your body, not just in your body but on your body, that could be your shampoo, that could be your face wash, that could be any cosmetics that you use, that could be your moisturizer, they all have to be extremely clean. I'm going to see if I can share another list. So if you look at, environmental wellness group, they have a lot of personal care products. They have a lot of products that they've verified that you can easily use. One of the simple things is to use anything that's natural. Instead of using a lot of heavy perfumes, what you can do is start using essential oils on the skin, right? um, Steve, I'll just get to the question in a minute. You can definitely use something as simple as coconut oil. That's the one thing that I use for my hair. So if you have frizzy hair and if you're using like a lot of conditioners, one thing you can do is a nighttime oil massage with coconut oil and then wash your hair off the next morning, and it will condition your hair, right? Using a lot of simple products like even clarified butter or ghee, you can take a little bit of the ghee, use it as a lip balm instead of buying certain lip balms that would have chemicals or different flavors. Using even milk, if you get organic milk or yogurt, that can be a nice gentle scrub, because the lactic acid is going to help clean up your face as well, so you can use that as a face cleanser. But try to use things that are extremely clean. Now Steve is saying that Santevia is higher pH. Have had good or bad about this. So I have been personally using this Santevia countertop filter for about 2 years now, and I really like it. So I've never had issues with it. One thing is you have to keep replacing, the filters on it, right? So you have to make sure that you always look at the expiry and you change the filter. So that is important. So from my perspective, definitely it is important, and you don't want the water to be too acidic, so you always want it to be alkaline, right? So a lower pH is going to mean it's acidic, a higher pH is going to mean it's alkaline, and a pH of 7 means it's neutral. um, that is one of the best ones in my opinion. There are a lot more expensive filters that you can buy. I know a lot of clients, they absolutely love their Berkey filters. Then there are some Kangen water systems. So there are different people that absolutely love different water filters. But especially when we look at thyroid, it is extremely important to look at your drinking water and make the best choice for you, right? So today I'm going to keep this a bit short. I covered 5 points and 5 lifestyle mistakes to avoid. I'm going to go over that. So the number one is stop drinking tap water, right? So always make sure you're having filtered water. If you are drinking a lot of tap water, that itself can create thyroid issues, that can increase the inflammation, that could give you heavy metals or excess amounts of fluoride. So that's the one thing. Second thing is, when we talk about pesticides, if you are eating food, if you're not very careful about what you eat, um, that is going to cost your thyroid, right? So always, try to choose organic foods. You can grow your own, stay away from pesticides in your own garden. So that's extremely important. So that's the second thing. Exercise is extremely important, 30 minutes or even 20 minutes, right? If you can't exercise, just do some stretching. If you can't find a trainer, if you feel like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to do this, YouTube has fantastic resources. You can just YouTube 5-minute stretch routine and you will get the answer, right? So exercise is the third factor, extremely important. But on a daily basis, if you're not moving your body, you are creating a lot of toxicity inside the body, right? Because your channels are not going to work well. So that was the third thing we talked about. The fourth thing we talked about was sleep. There is no negotiation for a nighttime sleep. Sleeping in the daytime, sleeping for 5 hours in the day is not going to be the same as staying up all night, right? So, making sure that you're following the circadian rhythm every morning when it's time to wake up, get moving, get out of the house. Every evening, try to wind down before bedtime. So, you're going to have this deep sleep. So, that's the fourth point. And the fifth point is, when we look at an anti inflammatory lifestyle, always examine what you're putting on your body as well, not just inside your body. So, any of the shampoos you're using, any of the cosmetics that you use, any of the moisturizers that you use, and I'm not talking about the specific chemicals in the body products, because I think that can be an entire video in itself. So I'm hoping to do one on skincare products and soon, but I'll be talking a lot more in that because that's going to take up a lot of time. But always read the labels every time you purchase something. That might be the best brand or a really expensive product, but please look at the labels. And if it has a lot of parabens, for example, right? Try to avoid those. So always, what you put inside your body, what you put on your body, what you put in your mind is going to impact your thyroid. It's going to impact you as a person. So make sure you're having a healthy lifestyle that supports your thyroid gland. Today's video was a bit shorter, so thank you so much for watching. If you have questions, you can please post it in the comment section. If you have any other suggestions, any other topics that you want me to do talks about, I would love to hear from you. Thank you once again for watching this, and I will see you